welcome to Regina Andrew. We have a lot of kind of happening this market, a lot of fun things to do within the showroom experience. If it's your first time here, just a few little tidbits on the brand. So the company was founded just over 26 years ago, husband and wife, Carla, Regina, and James Andrew. And really, the way we think of it is it's a company created by creatives for creatives. So everything in the space has been designed from there. And we make some things up in Detroit, including our jewelry, which is part of our Thrill of the Hunt series back behind you all. So we have some fun jewelry and vintage finds. And then the other thing that makes the showroom shopping experience here slightly unique is that everything you see within Regina Andrews showroom is shoppable. So it's all part of really what we do. So if you want to experience any of that, just check into the desk here or up front. They can get you also a quote scanner that'll allow you to actually shop the showroom. You can scan anything that you're interested. It'll all be saved to your online account to make it really seamless in terms of, your ordering process, as well as just, frankly, remembering what you saw as you've been here probably all week. So we have a very fun panel today. These three are great. I just want to call out too that Rasheeda Gray is one of our brand ambassador partners. If you're interested in learning more about what a brand ambassador partner is, you can connect with me or Rasheeda. And Antonio and Nicole, these guys are great. This is gonna be a lot of fun, very light. And then we have cocktails after this, so please feel free to enjoy those as well. So I'm gonna hand it over to you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Do you need that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I have
You got
one.
that one there.
Yeah, thank you, Neil. Let's give Regina Andrew a round of applause for creating a space for us all to thrive. It's always a favorite stop for us. It's a spot that, we're sourcing from all throughout the year, but really it's the drop zone for us here at High Point Market. Great coffee, great people, great conversations, just completely a safe space for all of us. So thank you, Neil. We're really excited for this one. This is kind of just like an intimate conversation, kind of more fireside chat conversation wise. Like we've got a bowl, bunch of questions. We want to just make this light and airy. If y'all have questions in the middle, like raise your hand. Feel free to interrupt us. Like we're all jazzed to talk about this topic today. What makes it special and meaningful is that each of us have renovated or touched our homes in some way possible. Each of us within the last year. Three of us who have worked and cultivated brand partnerships, build a dynamic community around the home, and have honest conversations throughout the entire process. If any of y'all follow all of us on Instagram, we are honest, we tell the truth, and we tell you how we've made it happen. So I'll have each of you introduce yourselves. I won't run through your bio. Tell everybody what you're working on, something super exciting, where y'all are from.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rasheeda Gray of Gray Space Interiors. We're a full service design firm based out of Philadelphia. We specialize in full home luxury furnishings as well as full home renovations. I work in partnership with my husband, Jake Gray of Gray Contracting. We've been in business for 10 years now. We're grateful to have our work being featured on every platform from Architectural Digest to House Beautiful, El Decor. There's quite a few, so I'm grateful. In local press like Philly.com and Good Day Philadelphia, and then most
Homeworthy.
and Homeworthy, all the things. But we were most recently featured on a season of Renovation Resort on HGTV. And I'm excited to talk about how I've grown my business by renovating and remodeling my own home.
That was a really impressive bio. So I bow down to you fully. But yes, my name is Nicole Rowe. I own our Nickson Interiors. We are a full service firm based in Central Florida. We take on residential renovations, new builds, furnishings, but a big chunk of our business is also the commercial world, which is a lot of overlap now, especially overlap in clients. But this past year, I had the we'll say pleasure to renovate a good chunk of my house. We had lived there for 7 years, and as Antonio and some of the others who followed my Instagram learned, I learned a lot. So this is a really fun conversation to dive into for sure.
I'm like firsthand get the voice memos as she's like in the renovation process, and it was really amazing to know as a designer like what she's going through firsthand, and it was kind of incredible to watch.
If you want a 7-minute voice note from me, give me your phone number.
Don't forget to introduce yourself.
I promise. I'm
Okay.
Antonio DeLoatch. We run Antonio DeLoatch Design, based in New York City, uptown in Harlem. We've got a presence across the country. I'm super grateful to be your mindful interior designer. We've got a true human-centered process in our brand and business. It is really about designing the internal you, so this way that you can better show up in the world. And for us, it's about curating systems. It's about functionality. How do we get from the front door to the laundry room? How do we get to bedtime a lot easier with your kids? So for us, it really is that human-centered, mindful practice throughout our brand and business. Lucky enough to be in 5 states at the moment. I used to be in LA for 10 years and God bless you. And we moved back about 4.5, 5 years ago. And really excited to have this conversation. My loft in Harlem is like my sanctuary. You live in New York City, and it's just like, how do we make the rest of the world disappear? How do we leave it all at the door? And like my home has really been that. And we took the time to curate it. And, it's been in my family for over 20 years. So that was also something we'll talk about today. And that process of going through like the shedding and then me moving in. I'll talk about a little too of who I thought I was in my 20s. And it's the place I always wanted to be, to coming back now almost at 40. So that was really special. And God willing, we're waiting on the queue on how many pages it'll be featured in the magazines. And one special, I can't say it just yet, but it'll be coming out in June. So we're waiting on the final spread. So that's a little bit about me.
Amazing.
Thank you. So, okay, so let's pass the bowl around. We're going to kind of go through some questions. If y'all have anything, highlights, or it's something that like sparks an interest, feel free to raise your hand in the middle.
Can I pretend like I'm picking the question I want to answer first?
Okay.
Not allowed.
Well,
Go
it
for it.
kind of sets the groundwork for
Please, I trust you.
the rest of my
Oh,
conversation.
she's got notes.
All right. So the question that I would like to pick first is, what genuinely surprised you when you became both the designer and the client in your own home? Where did you give yourself grace, and where did you refuse to? And so for me, that surprise showed up in the balance of being both the client and the CEO. And so when you think about renovating your home as an interior designer in this industry, you toe the line between both. And that's an emotional journey, but also a strategic journey.
Yeah.
When I'm renovating my home, I have 3 goals. 1, elevate how I live. 2, elevate my brand, Gray Space Interiors. And then 3, elevate the brands that we have the benefit and pleasure of partnering with. And that lens is different than if I were one of our clients.
Yeah.
So that really was a surprise on like how I had to figure out how to balance it. And it took me a little bit more time to make decisions than I would allow for a client to. So that was really interesting.
What was one thing that took you the longest to decide on?
I would say cabinetry, because it's such a permanent fixture in your home. And, I hope to have my cabinetry for many, many years to come. And I needed to make sure when I'm designing for my home for work, it has to be Instagrammable. It has to be something that I love. That's a hard middle
Balance.
point to find.
Yeah.
So yeah, cabinetry for sure. How about you?
Nicole?
I was going to say, can we jump back a little bit
Yeah.
and let everybody know like what the scope of work was when you did your house?
Yeah. So I've done several projects in my home. We've been in business 10 years. And so every year there's a project. But the latest set of projects were, let's say 2020 was pandemic. We all thought we had more time at home. We did not, because business boomed. But I started a project, which was my personal living room and dining room. And it was featured in One Room Challenge. That was that One Room Challenge initiative, if anyone has been around long enough to remember it, got my gears going on like how it could bring business to my firm. That was 2020. 21 was my primary bedroom and bath. 22 is my guest room. I mean, it goes
She's
on.
been living in it.
But the last project was my kitchen and dining room, a little bit of my living room update in 25.
That's fantastic. Yeah. For me, I think I've lived in studio apartments probably for a little over the last decade, from almost practically a walk-in closet in Brooklyn to Los Angeles to Hong Kong. And so like having this space that was like my family's, that has been lived in for the last 10, 15 years. My aunt, who was over 80, lived in it during the pandemic and was really too afraid to have anybody come in. And so like when I got to touch this space, I was like, wow, this is like a moment that like me and my fiance actually really get to curate a home together. So there was that extra layer of the onion there. But then it was also the presentation of all of it. There's like, how do I show this to the world? How do I Instagram it? How do we do fun unboxings? How do we have this conversation around the home? But that almost came second, to be honest. It was really about creating a space for us to host, for us to entertain. We both had been in California for well over a decade. So this was like a coming back home. So honestly, like the Instagrammable stuff was almost second or third thought. For me, it was like, how do we host Sunday dinner again? How do we all just like curl up on the sofa and like watch movie night and like have cocktails and like have some fun? And so like the Instagrammable stuff was a little bit more like on the back burner for me. It was there, and that's the reason why I think it took me over 3 years to actually photograph it, because it never really felt fully like my story. But like my family was just like, nobody wants to leave. Like our little meditation corner that we meditate every morning, like everyone just kind of just sits. And then we serve them tea. And then they're just like, and then next thing you know, they don't want to leave. And so, lunch or brunch turns into like 10 p.m. And I'm like, all right, y'all gotta go. And so it was actually really special that we've kind of taken two different perspectives on that. And Nicole, you just tackled a big one. Your primary, your kids' bathrooms.
Yes. So my family bought our home about 7 years ago. And at the time, I had 3 children. And then through that process, we now have four. So we have four boys, ages 13, 11, 9, and 6. So when you think through how hard my family is on our house, plus we have pets, plus I have a husband who's a citrus grower. So, it's the boots and it's that rugged, lifestyle, even white performance fabric, trashed, right? Like there's no chance. So for us, when you're thinking through the pillars of what is important, the first thing was like, what is going to survive us? What is going to outlive us? What is going to not make me stressed that, they peed on the floor in the bathroom, like the realities of it where it couldn't
That's a
be.
reality. Yep. I have
Yes.
a boy.
And so, kind of designing our scope of work was our upstairs. It was my primary suite. It was their bathroom, their hallways, plus some add on areas. But a lot of it was it needed to be durable. But also, I'm very ADHD. If you've talked to me for a few minutes, I bounce around, but that means I have very specific needs in my space where I am a medium contrast person. I need my spaces to let me settle. I can't have a lot going on in certain ways, right? Like I have to have places for things or things are going to be everywhere. So going through, what's durable, what allows my brain and a couple of my lovely ADHD sons' brains to settle at the end of the day, but also it needs to look freaking awesome. Like, we all have this box in our design studio of our favorite things, your favorite tile, your favorite wallpaper. And for me, it was like my favorite fabrics. How can I use all of that? So for me, it was like taking those three with the same results of both of you
Yeah.
guys to make it awesome.
You almost made yourself like your dream client, or maybe not.
I cried a lot.
Did you guys feel the pressure that it has to be out of this world or amazing or awesome because you know that if you it's like the hairdresser that shows up without their hair done.
Yeah.
We're putting our homes out to the entire world to see. Did you feel that pressure when you were doing the project?
I don't think I really felt the pressure. For me, it made me happy. It was really my safe space. And then I realized that like we created a vibe, we did stuff through lighting. And it just like when you're in New York City, one, my space is completely unrealistic. Like we've got a large loft, and it like automatically, once you climb the 5 flights of stairs on our almost 6 floor walk up, you get up and it's just like taking a deep breath. So I didn't really worry about that pressure I wasn't thinking that way.
The pressure wasn't necessarily that, but it was the pressure of we like to push our clients, outside their comfort zone, like many of you guys do. We like to design something that feels timeless, that feels real, but is a little like effed up and a little different and a little unexpected, but very authentic to me. So I think the pressure was how can we do that at such a high level that we can then show our clients, like, hey, my husband was very uncomfortable with this tile choice, but now he loves it. Or, kind of using the materials that most people may be a little nervous to have, a very dramatic pattern on your bed.
Yeah, I did feel the pressure. And I allowed that pressure to become something that pushed me. Like it was a little bit of anxiety. And I was like, how can you take it to the next level? How can you take it to the next level while still maintaining the way that you live? So I think it's interesting to have that perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, also when you've got brand partnerships, right? And you've got other people betting on you, and then you're putting their product into their home. And yeah, I mean, of course you feel that pressure for sure. I mean, you just debuted at KBiz, right? Talk about that partnership with the oven and the colorways.
Yeah. So a part of my kitchen renovation, I'll just share. In my kitchen renovation, I was able to obtain over $85,000 in sponsored product. And so that's everything from cabinetry to lighting, paint, flooring, appliances, you name it.
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for. And that has continued to evolve. I never want my relationships to feel like a one-stop thing. Like once I say this to our clients, once you're part of the Gray Space family, you're in. Like you're always a part of the family. And so all of our brand partners, we say if you ever need anything, just let us know.
Sure.
I'll unexpectedly stop by their booth with a camera crew and just start video and filming and all those
Sounds like
things because it's a brand that I have alignment and trust and built a relationship with. So that evolved with Kutch, and at KBiz, I was able to partner with them to design a vignette highlighting their new products. So
I mean,
yeah,
the oven stole my heart.
yeah,
The colorway was just
green, a
incredible.
green
It
oven.
was
It's amazing.
sexy and it was like hunter green. It was beautiful. One thing here was like, where did you have to give yourself grace and where did you refuse to? Was it a budget, or space or design? For me, like I gave myself grace and I actually allowed myself to blow my budget for the first time on the lighting. It was like a dream of mine. Like I always wanted like the perfect chandelier in the living room, and I never, renting, I never really had the opportunity to do that. And it was funny because my mom actually came to dinner probably about like 3 weeks ago, and she walked up the stairs. She was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Haha, I did it!" And like just that reaction because it's like 15 feet from the front door, and it's just this beautiful Christorama chandelier. And I just was like, I had to have it, and it was oversized, and it was just totally unexpected. And everything else is really chic and modern, but I wanted a little sparkle. And that immediate, like, I was like, I did that, and I was okay with like, I gave myself some grace to go there, and so that was kind of fun.
I love that. For me, the non-negotiable was photography.
Mm.
I'm just going to go back to the business of things because that's my background. I knew if I'm getting 85,000 worth of product, I better have the best photography that I can provide and video because that's now king on social. And so that was my strategy, like who is top photographer in my area
Mm.
and make sure that I fit that into my budget. So when I planned for the cost of labor and construction for my kitchen, photography was a line item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to give Rashida like her flowers because honestly, like from Case Conference last fall, this woman literally runs everything is like business, 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 business. And I love that like she's so present in like your decision making, but also like everything for her. I learned so much from you because it honestly like everything ties back to the business. It might be her personal home and like you're mooting and you're creating and like you're finding the right wallpaper, but it all ties back to your business. And I just think that's like it's such a huge takeaway is like you embody it so much.
Thank you.
You're
This is why
welcome.
you're quickly becoming my bestie. No, thank you for that.
Yeah,
It really is that way for me. It's just the way that my brain thinks based on my experience. So thank you.
you're welcome.
I think a lot of it for me was time. It took way longer than I had told my family it would take,
Oops.
which we lived in the guest room for a while and there was a lot of plastic up. But I think the time, like my background's construction, I've been running projects for like 20 years on the construction side of things. And I was like, timing wise, we can demo, we can do this, we can get through all the steps. And it took 3 months longer than I had mentally prepared everyone for because I kept finding myself with the wallpaper installer, like sending him to a client's house, the tile guys to a client's house, whatever it was, I still prioritized the clients over kind of my family's well being. And they were fine. They sucked it up. It was summer, but I think sitting down and really nailing down a appropriate timeline and having those conversations. I didn't hire a contractor. I subbed everything out because we all have our A team, right? You have your plumber you love that. But once you're getting onto their schedule, it's not always that easy to figure out when they can come and do these smaller projects. So I think timing grace was really hard.
Mm. She's got one coming out of
Okay, I'm pulling one from the bowl.
Yay.
I may put it back and do another one.
the.
I was going to say you're following the instructions.
No, that's okay.
Okay, it says, in what ways has your home created new opportunities through visibility, partnerships, or client work? I think a lot of it, yes, we partnered with brands. Yes, we've done some events with brands. Yes, we've been able to do some fun photos. But I think a lot of it with the client work brought some trust.
Mm.
I think the fact that they saw me, doing my own home made them realize, like, okay, she's doing it. She knows the feeling. She knows how it feels to be over budget. She knows how it feels to have guys in your house at 7 a.m. when you're still in your pajamas. Like, I think that trust from everyone, but also the trust from, going back to time. We partnered with Kingston for all of our plumbing. And I was like, oh, yeah, you'll have the photos in October. Like, we did it in January. Like, and then it took, 6 weeks to edit and all of that. So I think the brands looking at us and being like, we know it's going to be awesome. We know, you're going to get there. You're going to get us the deliverables because, there is contracts and there was things we had to sign and there was stuff we had to do to be given, the product or have the heavily discounted items or whatever that, negotiation looked like.
Yeah.
It wasn't just oh, hey, Nicole, here's, $5,000 worth of whatever. Like, it wasn't that simple.
No, there's still a deliverable expected from them.
100%. And there's some we're still working with to kind of execute what they need and what those expectations are.
And like how they want to be celebrated. Like just talking to Nicole about her brand partnerships, like I didn't really go that route. I've curated art and layers and things over time, but I realized that there's totally an opportunity there from watching my friends partner with these really great companies. And I was just like, okay, like where's the opportunity? What are we doing next? And one of the last spaces is my kitchen. And so then like by learning from them, I was able to have an honest conversation with like a tile company or a countertop company to be able to say like, hey, like I love your product. Like, how can we partner together? This is the momentum we have. Here's our metrics. Here's our data. Here's what we'll be able, like level of exposure that we'll be able to give you guys. And I'm really excited because we've done the rest of the house. And this is kind of like the final piece of the puzzle. But even just watching my friends, it's taught me that it's possible that a brand will be able to bet on us and then be able to showcase their product and that they actually want us to be the ones to celebrate them. So that's always been kind of an eye opener for me. And I think after investing in the photography and like really just let the world see it, I've now know that like I can ask for certain things from brands and vendors and explain to them how we want to partner together.
Yeah, I think that their brands are becoming more open to partnership with designers because you have an engaged audience. Like your audience trusts that you are a tastemaker and what you share and recommend. And one tool that just came to mind, maybe not related, that I've used in pitching brands, because you talked about like the pitch, is a media kit. Um, so if you are like, where do I start and how to work with brands? Head to Canva or Chat or your choice of search engine to create a media kit that highlights your metrics and things like that.
Yeah. I love my media kit, and I actually need to remind myself to send it out more or attach it. But it's a really great way to celebrate the work that you're doing, the brands that you're partnering with, the other companies that might have like asked you to be a brand ambassador. Like celebrate those moments because even it could just be the littlest thing. It could start with a pillow. Like you might just need 3 pillows for a sofa for a project, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be for your own home, but there's like really low hanging fruit and ways that you can become a brand ambassador for your local design center. But that media kit, that one pager, and you can pick our brains. We're happy to share what the media kit looks like and what's inside of it. But it definitely has helped me, and that's something I need to use more so to celebrate myself.
Yeah.
And I would say it doesn't have to be like big social media followings, right? Like
Yep.
sitting up here, we have 3 very different levels of social followings, me being, the low on the totem pole. But for my negotiation tactic with it, one of them we partnered with Plank Hardware. They're out of the UK. And they were coming to KBIS. And I was like, hey, I love your hardware. I've been using it for years. When y'all come to KBIS, let's host a cocktail party. I will invite, all the designers I know that are coming. We'll do it offsite and We threw an amazing cocktail party. It was a ton of fun. They got FaceTime in front of a bunch of vendors. I was able to get them, or designers, and I was able to get them in front of some other vendors and really help them like navigate KBIS because if you've been to KBIS, it's a lot. So I think that kind of notion of like, hey, I may not have the social count that you need or, whatever that looks like, but I still have something to offer was kind of a fun way to do it.
Watching that brand lit up. It was their first time coming to the States. They've been selling in the States, but for them to come to the UK, I was in the room with you guys and like they talked about that cocktail party all week long at KBiz and they were just so grateful. And then they kept bringing us back into their showroom and invited us. And then we all became friends. And then it introduced me to a brand new brand that I've never seen before. But it was all because they took a shot on Nicole to host this fun cocktail party. So again, it wasn't just about like product placement or hey, I want free product. It was like, no, I actually want to celebrate your product and I want to put you in front of amazing designers that in return is going to open up some new accounts.
Yeah, I think that's another perspective, right? Because we talked about the potential client or social media following being the audience, but the audience is also your influence on other designers. And so when I went to KBiz, that's how I found Kutch Appliances. And I, to be honest, I did approach GE as well. Maybe I should have named names, but they said no. And Kutch said yes, and they're a smaller brand that was looking to grow, and so we all had alignment in that growth strategy. So I think it's always helpful to look at brands that may not have such a large presence who are willing to grow with you as well. Next question.
From the bowl.
Has living, I got it from the bowl this time, guys. I promise. Has living in your home post renovation changed how you design for others? Yes. I now tell my clients when I posted or shared the story of my kitchen renovation as an example, I shared it from a point of view of why is this important to potential clients? And then when I'm talking, sharing brand information, I'll share that perspective. But I needed potential clients to know that I understand what it feels like to go through a kitchen renovation. I have children and we had dust everywhere. And, we were tired of eating out and we could not use the air fryer one more time. Like all of those things, like I tried to be very relatable. And so when we talk to our clients now in our design guide that we give them at the beginning of a project, it says, we know you're going to be over us midway through the renovation. And just know that we're going to hold your hand we get across the finish line and we do check-ins. Like if a renovation is dragging, I'm sending a gift card for the family to go out to have a dinner out,
So sweet.
Yeah, just so some of those thoughtful things that experiencing it firsthand, I think it's really important
I
in the
love that.
project.
I just put a gift basket that I'm bringing out to California. I've got a client going through a big renovation and single woman lives by herself and she's like listen, like I'm from Jamaica, I can handle this, like give me my coffee pot, the refrigerator, like what the little mini fridge, I'll be fine. But for her, I want that extra layer of comfort because I know that we're saying 6 to 8 and I just in the worst case scenario, if we even slide to week 9, like I'm gonna feel horrible. So I'm flying out with a gift basket to like really try and figure out how I can make this exciting and as comfortable as possible. I, back to your question from the bowl, like how has it changed how I design for my clients? It's great for my local clients. My studio is like a 10-12 minute walk from my house. And so I'll actually invite clients over and been like, listen, like come over at 6 p.m. The mood is right. Like I want you to feel the vibe after work. And they literally come by, they bring their kids. It's actually been really amazing for me because I'm just like, hey, come on through and like come have tea. Come like even just like before you pick up your daughter from school, come swing by. And it's great because the office is only 10 minutes down, like 10-minute walk down the street. So like I'll bring clients over and they actually get to see like, oh, how did you curate that gallery wall? Oh, well, we've traveled from Lisbon and Paris, and this is where I grabbed this, and this is why we talked about leaving filler spaces. It's real relatable moments. I've had clients over for dinner, and I'm using my home in a way I never thought that I would have before. And so, like for me, it's just giving a totally new layer. It's giving a whole new experience to my clients, to the local ones. I've FaceTimed with clients. I'm walking around the house with my laptop, and the client's like, "Oh my gosh, show me this corner." And it's not so much like an Instagrammable moment. It's more of an I've made it more of an intimate moment.
I hope your Augusta ruling all of that tax wise. Please write that down. And I think if a client showed up at my house without a 3-hour warning, they would probably fire me as a client from a standpoint of what my children and animals do, especially to the entryway.
You have 4 boys. I think you get a pass.
But I would say as like what it's done for me is we have a few like brand important things, right? Like the reasons why we make certain choices, whether it's real materials, stone is a huge deal for me, or some of these others where I'm like, I did this in my house, so it's going to be okay in yours. Like if it could survive my house, like whether it's the plumbing system or whatever we did, I'm like, you're good. I promise. Like, I'm not worried about, X, Y, and Z in my space. So you shouldn't be either. But also a good reminder of little things like the toilet we put in my kid's bathroom is literally the worst toilet in the entire world. It's a wall mount toilet. It's horrible. But it reminded me to tell them, like, don't cheap out on the toilet. Like, like kind of invest in some of the things that you aren't going to want to replace. It's worth putting that extra money into some of the details.
You've got like firsthand experience, which is really awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The next question here, I think we've answered some of it, but did you design your home for yourself or how it would be seen? Like I really never thought in a million years that I was gonna really photograph it. I had dreamt of it, but it never really felt finished. And so like then it just like I told you about my journey, it became about me. And then I had great momentum towards the tail end of last year and I knew I needed to photograph one more project. And when we're in my brand and business, we're always thinking quarterly and 3 to 6 months out. So by like November, I was like, well, I've got press lined up for February, March, April, but like what's happening May, June, or July? And I was thinking about that last year. And I knew that I have like 4 projects that need to get photographed. That's expensive, but I needed something that was going to be like camera ready pretty quickly. And then I had to have the internal conversation and been like, you know what, Antonio, just bet on yourself. Photograph the house, call the photographer, rip the Band-Aid off. Like, it's going to be worth it. And I didn't think that the magazines were going to say yes that fast. And then all of a sudden, I put a pitch deck together. We photographed it in November. By January, we had the yes. February, KBiz, we had the interview. And now it'll hopefully be published this May, June in the issue. And we're just waiting on the final if it's 9 or 12 pages. And I just didn't even think. So for the last 3 years, it wasn't really about being seen because I was like too afraid to almost debut like the behind the scenes and the intimate spaces that like I hold so close to my heart.
Yeah. Is it bad that I was like listening? I forgot the question.
That's okay.
Okay. I think I answered this earlier. It's 75% for me, 25% for the business when I'm designing my home. I don't know how much more I can add to that. So
So out of that 75, what are you doing for you in that 75?
I think about how I live now and how I need to live in 5 years and in 10 years. I am a mom of a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old. I can't even believe I'm saying that. And so my life is changing really fast. And I want to think about like, if we decide to sell, what does that look like? And, if my kids are in the house or out the house. So all of those things matter. So yeah. And how my husband, it's so funny. My house is on Homeworthy on YouTube, right? And by the way, I'm scared to have clients over my house, but I'll post about it all day long. I'll put it on Instagram and YouTube, but I don't know. I just save it for family and friends.
That's fair.
But anyways, someone commented, and guys, be ready for this. Why do you have alcohol on the walls if you have children in the home or something like that? Because I have a wine rack in my dining room. So there's always going to be like this level of criticism that comes along with opening yourself up and vulnerability.
Yeah.
I was like, because my kids are almost adults. That's why.
Because I've raised them well and it's okay. And I wanted a little bougie, fancy moment in my
closed
dining room.
bottles. If they
Yeah.
open it, I will know it because I have a camera in the corner of the dining room. Thank you.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just really think about how we live and how we're living now and in the future. And honestly, I do think a lot about the industry. So what are the trends that are going to show itself, not just now, but in 5 years and in 10 years? I want those photos to be evergreen. I don't want them to be sort of expired because I went too trendy. And the other honest thing is I'm designing, maybe my powder room is to my exact taste. Maybe my bedroom is to my exact taste, but that living room or main spaces that I want to get photographed are going to be as close to like
Dream client.
dream client, yes, and exciting to the masses as I possibly can get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's honesty.
But I like the perspective of that, right? Like keeping a few of the spaces closer to your heart. And I know for us, back to what I was kind of saying, in the beginning of, longevity and this, that, and the other, we don't look at it for resale. Like where I live, I am blessed to be, on 5 acres on a lake in a very small town. My kids are like fifth generation in this small town. I am not from there. We're not going to sell the house. It's hopefully going to be one of theirs or other family or whatever that is. So it's kind of like what can kind of last forever was kind of a fun game to play as well. But, they will grow up and be gone. And what are we going to do with those faces? And I don't know. It was a really fun journey from that standpoint. But this was the second house we had renovated. Our first house was this cute little lakefront cottage, 2 bedroom, 1 bath, but I renovated it for who I thought I was. I was also 24. So it was a little farmhouse. My husband's a farmer. Like I thought it was this, little whatever space. But I realized as I grew up, like I'm not that person. And you can design it to whoever you are, no matter the town you live in or the space you live in.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's a perfect segue into the story for me moving back from LA to New York. When I left, I mean, that was almost 12 years late, like 12 years ago. And so for me, like my cousin, she was the first African American patent lawyer for American Express. And I watched her in my 20s. I mean, she was like what success had really truly looked like. And I was like, I'm going to live in this apartment one day. Like, I really want this, like, this moment. And then I left and I I superseded any vision I had for myself. I've lived in Hong Kong. I've opened up global retail flagships. I lived in mile outside of Beverly Hills. I accomplished all of these things. And I came back, almost 12 years later, completely a different human being. And I met this apartment and the apartment met me. And I was like, who are you? Like, this was a totally different person. And it was looking back at me the same way. And so I think that's part of the reason I was a little slower to photograph it, because I had this whole like reconciliation moment of just like, wait a minute, I'm not who I thought I was or where I would be in this moment. I'm like way beyond that. And then now I've got a partner and now we get to be able to take this home and make it my own. And so that was a really magical, amazing journey, because it was this relationship to this like family loft that we had, who I thought I was, and then like where I blew my mind. And then the home fell somewhere in between it. But because it's what I'm like meant to do every single day, it became so intimate and it became so special. Yeah. And then the brand and business just kind of folded into it. Please.
Kind of on the off the business side of it, did you take yourselves on your own client journey through this, or were you kind of like doing it in the background and you didn't? Did you do that again? I'm just very curious from that perspective.
Not verbatim, but it did improve how I did onboarding for clients. And so I rethought about my questionnaire and like what things helped me to come to like what is my dream space. So I redid my questionnaire based off of my own experience. Um, but I will say, Nicole mentioned this earlier. I just save favorite things along the way and said one day I'll be able to do this in my house. So yeah, I just always went back to that folder.
I love that. How many of y'all in the room have like tackled a space or a larger renovation in your own personal homes as designers?
But
Almost half
Awesome.
of you. That's huge. How many of y'all have like shared that with the world or kept it? How many of y'all have shared it with the world? We've got two. The rest of you have kept it to yourselves. Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
I renovated before I became a designer, and I was very sure of what I wanted at that time. And now that I'm into design, I'm like, I can't decide. Everything so said yes to one thing means saying no to everything else, and I can't make myself do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think back to your question with the client journey and how have I like mirrored that through this process, right? Like I'm always one that like we give a lot of grace in the client budget and we're really, really honest, because like if you only have one bucket of money, right? Like if there's only $100,000 to spend and we're not going to replenish the bucket, in the next 6 or 12 months, like we have to be honest and we have to give ourselves grace. And so I think even for me, like it's so different when you're dealing with your checkbook. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, like the contractor comes to you and you're like, $15,000 for what? I'm like, oh, right. I'm the one that like created this. I was like, got it. So like, I think even just going back to our client experience, like we just are like, hey, like when I talk about our personal journey, when we redid the bathroom, these were 3 surprises. This is what caught me off guard. This is where I didn't want to let go of my checkbook. just warning you, these things might come up. And so I think that helped us like have some transparency in our client journey.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember a night I was sitting at my old design studio on the floor. My son had gotten dropped off after soccer. So it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm sitting amongst a pile of paint samples, tile. Like I had laid everything out on the floor. And I'm just sitting there in gym clothes in a state of overwhelm, right? Because there's so many great decisions. There's so many awesome things. Even just walking through here, we could all probably pick 12 light fixtures we want to put in our dining room. And I think that state of almost FOMO. Like if I choose that, then I don't get all of these other things. And then, my husband's going to be like, we're not changing the light fixture every 6 months, even though that is what I want to do. And now back onto the other side of it, I bought a design studio this fall and we've been renovating it. It's a 100-year-old building. We have got to do very little fun things, right? It's been the plumbing pipes that have had to be fixed. We've had to shore up the walls. Like we've had to replace exterior doors. And all I want to do is the fun stuff. Regina, Andrew, we actually put that light fixture in the office and they've partnered with us to help us with some of that. But in general, I'm back to these emotions of we're spending, honestly, it's been like $80,000 of not fun stuff to get this design studio to even think about the fun stuff.
Yeah.
I
And
feel like that's real, right? Like sharing that story with your audience so that they know that, as a designer, I too am going through this process and this is what it looks like. But the end result, which will be phenomenal, that's what will make it all worth it. So sharing that journey is important, I believe.
Yeah.
no, I agree. Thank you.
Okay. You want to pull one more for the bowl and then like we'll take some questions? Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's see.
The funny thing is, as we've just like loosely been talking, we've answered half of them on the sheet.
I know. What did you finally, do you feel like we answered this already?
What did you finally allow yourself to have in your own home? I think we could go a little deeper.
All
I mean,
right.
it's something I gave myself grace on.
What did you finally allow yourself to have in your own home? Something you've always dreamt of as a kid or an adult?
I went all in on tile. I blew the tile budget and they gave me discounts and I went with artistic tile in my bathroom and
It's
it's all
good.
of you guys, oh, the marble mosaics. And then we did Sonoma tile on the lower part, which was like the saving of money. But if you know Sonoma tile, you're not saving any money. It's just not marble. But I think that splurge to me like meant the world, but also the styling side of it, right? Because we do projects that we get close to styling it all the way. We add some of the stuff, but to layer in all the art, all the plants, all the oddities from the vintage shops and whatnot, like to me, like finishing it to the very end without the worry that the client's going to be like, oh, that's too weird. I don't want that. Now I'm stuck with something that won't, work somewhere else or whatever that journey looks like. So I think allowing myself to finish the spaces, and yes, there's still blank space for more art. I might have bought
She
a
might have
horse
bought one
painting
last night.
at 10 p.m. last night.
I took my eyes off of her for 10 minutes and she literally came back with a rolled up canvas. And I was like, what happened? Oh, and then today you left me and then you ended up buying rugs.
I bought
but
two
that-
vintage rugs at Jaipur. But it is that, we still have room for a bench in my bedroom that I want to do an awesome fabric on, like leaving these little pockets where I can still have those dopamine hits in the future. Or, when you meet with a brand, add that on or find something awesome that's vintage. But I think allowing myself to buy all the art from Cherish and get it actually framed and buying the awesome candles and really finishing it felt special.
Yeah.
I would say wallpaper. I don't know that I've wanted wallpaper when I was a kid. I just know all my adult life I've wanted more and more wallpaper in my house. And I've had clients, this is strategic, going back to the business side of my brain, right? I want to do more wallpaper in our clients' projects. I want to do more kitchens because my husband and I are essentially a design build firm. And so that is why I'm showcasing wallpaper in kitchens. And now people literally come to me and say, I want the fireplace you have in your living room. I want the wallpaper you have on your wall. I want paneled cabinets in our kitchen or paneled appliances in our kitchen. And so I think that they don't know potential clients, until you show them.
Yeah.
And so I've always wanted wallpaper, but more importantly, I want more clients that are going to allow me to wallpaper their whole entire room and not just one wall.
Yeah.
Okay? All right.
I love that. I think for me, it's been about art. I've always loved art. I've always been an artist. I've been a photographer. But as an adult, I've really have allowed myself to invest in the art and like splurge or buy the piece or even just small pieces. I've started out small, low hanging fruit, but we're always incorporating the art into our clients' projects. And almost 70 to 80% of the time, the client says yes to the art because it's all woven in. It's like it's in the green in the sofa, it's in the plants. There's storytelling always for us. And so for me as an adult, I've always dreamt of having like this amazing gallery wall. And at first I was like, oh, maybe it's too much. But then I actually like my fiance encouraged me to like go get it professionally framed, like get the good frames, like secure the art. And it's the first thing like when you walk through our front door, you walk right into our dining room and it's just this huge gallery wall. And it's like there's family made pieces. There's like a sketch from my 4-year-old nephew that we had professionally framed. And there's just like this beautiful storytelling. So I think for me, it's always been about the art. And then as an adult, giving myself permission to buy the art, support the local guy on the side of the street in a Caribbean island or in Paris, and then like tell that story, right? So that's always been kind of fun.
And he was
Yeah,
giving
thank
me
you.
hell for buying art last night.
I did not. I encourage it because I know you've got a home for it. Let's open it up to questions. Does anybody here have any questions for us regarding this intimate journey of designing your home?
We have one over here.
Hey, for sure, your iteration is about. My question is, if your family is living in Lumacher forever, both, which is your remuneration? How much do you invest? Because you see your house is, like is so inspirational. You video pick this year for all. And the other question is, did you design it for your family or for the future?
When I think about return on investment for a project that I am doing in my home that will go out into the world, I think about two returns. One is, um, the return on investment for growing the business. But the second is, well, I guess let me just land there. It's not just how to sell, like what it's going to sell for, but it's the return on investment for the business. So I can't even calculate that. But if I were to think about how many clients over the years said, I want to work with you, and the picture of my home stopped them scrolling on social media, that far outweighs probably what I will make in profit to sell the home.
Yeah.
And so I think it's two parts on the return on investment, potential clients as well as the selling of the home.
Yeah. My ROI looked completely different. When I moved back from LA to New York, I was really, really overwhelmed. Like living in LA, like I just was like, it's true. I was zen. I was chill. I was like hiking at Griffith Park. Like moving back to New York 10 years later was like, oh my God, it was really, really overstimulating for me. And so for me, like my home, my return on investment, which we talk about this to our clients a lot, no matter where they fall in the country, is like we're curating a home that's in service to you. So like for me, that was like my biggest. I didn't need the most expensive, sofa or the perfect accent chair. It all had to kind of give me joy. It had to hold me in a way that I never knew I really honestly needed. And so like that was my biggest return on investment. So like when we're talking to clients that might not be in their forever home, we talk about just like what is it something that your family needs now? Like how hard is it to go and like get from after school to dinner to bedtime, right? Like, so for me, like if we can splurge a little here or we can invest in these things, where's that return on investment? Is it more of an emotional return? Is it going to be a physical thing? Like Nicole is about to do a house for clients that are going to end up gut remodeling, but they're making an investment now and on strategic specific pieces that's going to serve them for maybe the next 6 to 9 months.
Well, I think it's a good example of if you're reselling in a year, it's a different conversation. Anything more than, 3 years, I just say kind of ignore it. But we're talking about big renovations. I've lived in the house for 7 years. That did not mean we didn't have spaces that I didn't have on Instagram. So it's like, curate those areas in your living room, whether it's a gallery wall with the art you can take with you or
Your coffee
just
table.
swapping light fixtures, even if you're going to replace them with something from Lowe's when you sell your house and you take it with you, like great news. But I think having those areas that are well designed to your and your family's taste that can stand up to your life. And if it comes time to sell at some point, it is what it is. And it's easy to we all know how to stage a house to sell, but you don't have to gut your bathroom or your kitchen to have these opportunities of high design.
Yeah. Any other questions? No?
This is good.
Awesome. I think we're right on time.
I know. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Wonderful. Well, I thank y'all for coming out today. Again, we're all here for a reason, right? And as we're mixing and mingling, there's going to be a whole cocktail hour. Please come up to each of us individually. Maybe share what like attracted you to this panel, the why behind the intimate part of like how we're actually designing what we're doing for ourselves. We're all an open book, as you can see. So please mix, mingle with each other, talk about your homes, talk about the journey, talk about brand partnerships. There's tons of people here from Regina Andrew. We can't thank them enough for every time that they say yes to us, whether or not it's donating to a charity event. It's, tricking out Nicole's new design studio. It's these small moments that truly matter. And we're all in different parts of our journey. We've all had really great experiences and we're happy to share. So please like find somebody in the room, talk about the journey, talk about the why that like what brought you here today. And I hope that y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. So thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys.